Hi, my name is Jason Lanier. I'm here in the whorehouse on Marco Island. And yes, it is called the whorehouse. Captain Whore used this whole island. It was his island. He used it for a pineapple plantation. And he saved it for me so I could come and explore the ruins of his home and share a video with you guys as to what is in my bag. So let's get to it. Now I have about 4 or 5 different bags of gear. What I am sharing with you today is bag number 1. This is my main bag, my go bag. The get out of the house and go shoot right now bag. This is my backpack. It's my think tank. It's a Streetwalker hard drive, and yes, that's a funny name, but that's what it is. And it's made by Think Tank. Yes, Think Tank is an affiliate of mine, and if you use the code WS658, you will get a free gift if you order a Think Tank bag. Just wanted to let you know. Now, in regards to what's in my bag, I'm going to share with you guys what I have. I have a collection of lenses, lights, flash, camera bodies, and so on and so forth. And again, this is my main bag. I'll share the other bags in subsequent videos, but this is my main go bag. So let's get to it. In my bag, I have 3 camera bodies. Now, normally I have, well, that's a lie. In my bag, I have lots of camera bodies. I think I have 3 A7s, an A6000, an RX10, and an RX100. So is that 6? Yeah, I think that's 6. So I have 6 camera bodies, and I'm going to share with you guys which ones I use. The first is my A7R. Okay, this is if you guys are looking for landscape photography, this is your camera to go to. I don't really recommend this for weddings just because it's overkill. There's no need to spend or use the amount of memory that 36 megapixels is going to give you by shooting with an A7R. So if you're into landscapes, architectural photography, ad work, stuff like that, commercial photography, the A7R is going to be fantastic. Otherwise, I would go with one of the other camera bodies that I'm going to show you. So I absolutely love this camera, like I said, for the reasons that I just stated. Now on this camera, I have the 16-35 FE Zeiss lens. This is my favorite lens. If I were to go out and recommend to you guys to buy any sort of a lens for your A7, your full frame Sony cameras, it would be the 16-35 Zeiss. Gives you a good focal range. It's incredibly sharp. There's very little distortion. It's a Zeiss lens. It performs beautifully. The autofocus is awesome, and it just performs incredibly well. For the vast majority of my career with Nikon, I shot with a 16-35 f4. This is a 16-35 f4, so this thing is very much is very comfortable to me and something that I'm very familiar with. So I loved my 16-35 f4 on my Nikon, and I love this lens with the Sony Zeiss. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I think you'll love it. So in my bag, I have a variety of different lenses. I have the Zeiss that I just showed you. I have A-mount lenses, and I have E-mount lenses. Now, that FE Zeiss, FE stands for full frame E-mount. That FE Zeiss is the only FE piece of glass that I personally own. Might surprise you. I don't even own the kit lens because I sold that when I sold my A7 to my assistant. So all I have for FE lenses is that. Everything else, I've adopted a lot of the A-mount glass into my system. Now, as I'm speaking to you, Sony has currently come out with a lot more FE Zeiss glass, or FE glass. I just haven't got it yet. But when I first started with my system, I wanted more flexibility with my lenses, and so I went with a lot of A-mount glass using the LA-EA4 adapter. So I'm going to show you guys how I do it. I'm going to show you guys the lenses that I use, and I hope it works for you. So the rest of this stuff is going to be either A-mount or just E-mount glass. That 16-35 is the only FE mount glass that I have. So this here is the A7 Mark II. I love this camera. This camera's main purpose is its 5-axis image stabilization, which means you can pretty much shoot, I've shot at a 1/6 of a second handheld, which if you're shooting any sort of like concerts, if you're shooting anything like that, being able to shoot at a slower speed handheld is great. Now, if you have fast action movement at some concerts, then it may not work for you. It's greater for portraits. If you're doing handheld, it's greater for things like that. So this, I absolutely love this camera. It has a better grip on it than the other two A7s do. It's a little heftier, has a little bit better weather sealing than the A7R or the A7S. The A7R is actually the smallest of all the A7s. So this one has a better grip. It feels a little bit more like a tiny DSLR, a miniature DSLR. So for those people who are looking for a camera that has more of a feel to a DSLR, the A7II would be your best bet. It also has the dials right here. This has the best dial configuration of all the A7s in my opinion. These dials move more freely and better than the other A7 cameras do. and it has a little bit better of a tilt screen, and it's faster autofocus on the A7 II. So this is a great camera for that purpose. Now, on this camera, I have the LAEA4 adapter. This adapter takes any A-mount glass, and A-mount is the DSLR line or DSLT line for Sony, and it adapts any of their A-mount glass right here. You put the A-mount glass on this side, and this side goes onto your camera, and now I can use any A-mount glass that I want on either my A7s or my A6000. This lens right here is the 1.8 135 Zeiss lens. This is my favorite lens in the world. For portraiture, there's no better lens that I have found. The fall off on this, the bokeh is just stunning, absolutely stunning, and I absolutely love this lens. So this lens is like $1,800. I bought it used off of Adorama for $600. So I got super lucky. So I know I'm an artisan of imagery, but a lot of the glass that I bought, a lot of the things that I bought were before I was an artisan of imagery. And even then, it's not like they throw free gear at us. So, you know, I care about the lenses, and I care about the price that I pay for my lenses. So, check for used lenses. It's a great way to get great deals. I love it. So, this, again, the LAEA4 adapter. Now, all the other A-mount glass that I show you will work with the same configuration. So, let me show it to you right now. This is the Sony 1.4. 50 millimeter lens. This is a great lens. This is about $500. And again, this is an A-mount glass. So you can buy the Zeiss lens, this 55 1.8 Zeiss, which is an FE lens. And that is a phenomenal lens. I've used it. It's a fantastic lens. If you're looking for fastest autofocus, then you're going to want to do that. When you use the LAEA4 adapter, you still have autofocus, auto exposure, gives you all of the metadata, all the EXIF data. But it is a little bit slower on the autofocus, and you lose some of the focal points, so just understand that. Me personally, I've used it without a problem. It doesn't matter to me because I've learned to use it, and I use it very well. And so when I use something like the 50 millimeter 1.4 with the LAEA4 adapter, it works fantastic. If you're looking for something that you don't even have to think about it, then you go with the FE glass. If you're someone like me who's willing to save a little bit of money, and consequentially you can get lenses that are made for the A-mount and you can put them on your E-mount cameras, then this is the way to go, at least for me. So this is the 1.4 50 millimeter lens, and I absolutely love this lens. It's fantastic for portraits, weddings, stuff of that nature. This is the famous beer can lens. Yes, Sony users can use legacy glass, 35-year-old glass, with autofocus and auto exposure. This is the Minolta 35-year-old 70-210 f4 beer can lens. They call it a beer can lens because apparently it looks like a beer can. Do not try to drink it, of course. This lens is fantastic. It's very, very sharp. So comparing this to like the FE 70-200 f4, if you have all the money in the world, the 70-200 is going to be a great lens for you. You have better image stabilization, you have better focusing, but if you're cost conscious, then you're going to go with the beer can lens, and I love the beer can lens. It's incredibly sharp, and again, if you know how to use that LAEA4 adapter, which I think any intermediate or pro photographer will be able to use that adapter with these lenses with no problem. I really do. If I can do it, you guys can do it. And this lens is fantastic. It's incredibly sharp. I'm going to be releasing a video where I did a studio shoot with this, and it's a fantastic lens. This is also wonderful for weddings. This is a great wedding lens. How much did I pay for this used? I paid, I think it was $100. So the other one is like $1,500. So if you have money, then it's not an issue. Then get the FE lens. If money is an issue for you and you're trying to transition over or trying to bolster your line with your Sony glass, this Minolta 70-210 is phenomenal, and it is incredibly sharp. This is my other piece of A-mount glass. This is the 28-75. Again, using the LAEA4 adapter. This is 28-75. This is a 2.8. This is a fantastic lens. So you might compare this to like a lot of the other, you know, Nikon or Canon or Sony, where they have like a 24-70 or 28-70, whatever that might be, 24-75. They're all different. But this is a 28-75 2.8. Very, very sharp. Great fall off. Great depth of field. I use this for weddings a lot. Great lens for inside, using at receptions. Gives you enough focal length where you can get wide enough to get some great shots, and it's a straight 2.8, so you can get some, it's a fast lens and you're going to get some great low light shots. So this would be fantastic for inside of a reception hall, so on and so forth. So again, love this lens, and this is about, I think, $600 or $700. If you guys get the, you know, the other ones, most camera manufacturers, Nikon, Canon, or Sony, they're like, I don't know, $1,400, $1,700. Again, I'm trying to give you guys options. I'm trying to show you what real people use, not people with tons and tons of money. So, and maybe you guys have more money than I do, maybe you don't, who knows. But this is what works for me. Great lens. This is my last full frame camera body in my bag. This is the A7S. This is a low light king. This is about $2,500. This camera is off the charts phenomenal. This is, if there was one camera that I would take to a wedding, it would be the A7S. Why? Because of the ISO functionality and the ability to shoot in low light. You can shoot at f4, you can shoot even higher, 6.3, f8. And because of the ISO, it's like shooting at a 2.8. It's really that good. I'm talking shooting at 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 ISO, and if you have enough light, you're not going to have any noise. This has a native ISO up to 102,000 or something crazy like that. It's an absolutely phenomenal lens, or excuse me, phenomenal camera. This also, for video purposes, the A7S and the A7II are going to have the best codecs. They're going to have the XAVCS codec. So if you're looking for a video camera functionality inside of your camera, the A7S is going to be your best bet, and the A7II would be your second best bet. On this camera is an E-mount lens. This is the 18-105 E-mount lens, and this is a fantastic lens. I love this lens. This is fantastic for you. This is a crop sensor lens, and this is fantastic for like the a6000. Now, if you're shooting for video purposes, which is why it's on the A7S as we speak, this lens is phenomenal. It really is a fantastic lens. Now, when you shoot with an E-mount lens on your A7s, it takes the resolution for stills down about 55%. So if you are going to put this lens, and it'll auto crop, so there'll be no vignette. It's really cool. If you put one of these E-mount lenses on your full frame cameras, your FE cameras, just keep that in mind. So if you're shooting with the A7R at 36 megapixels, then you're looking at about 14, 15 megapixels, so it's still more than enough with using this lens or any other type of E-mount lens. If you're looking at the A7 Mark II, then it's going to go down to about 11 megapixels, which is still more than enough. I built my career shooting with the Nikon D3 and then the D700, both 12 megapixel cameras, and it's more than enough, guys. To that end, that's why the A7S, I think, is still a phenomenal camera. People get overwhelmed with megapixel counts these days, and for some purposes they're needed, but for most, truly, they're not. And for a wedding camera, the A7S is phenomenal. I would never shoot the A7R at a wedding. If I had a better option, I would always shoot the A7S or the A7 Mark II or the A6000. So moving on to my other E-mount lenses, this is the 50mm E-mount 1.8 with Sony. This is probably one of the best E-mount lenses made for like the A6000s, A5100, any of the APS-C crop sensor cameras for Sony. This 50mm 1.8 is phenomenal. Likewise, this 35mm 1.8 is also a fantastic lens. These are both E-mount lenses. I love both of these. They're very sharp. The fall off, the depth of field on these is very smooth, and it's great. I absolutely love these lenses. This is the 35mm macro lens for E-mount. This has a 1-inch minimum focus distance. All three of these lenses are in the $250 to $300 range. For a macro lens, for the money, you won't find a better macro lens on the market. One thing that's great about this is you can take your camera and you can handhold and do macro shots because your camera is very light and your macro lens is very light. Whenever I use the heavier macro lenses, you always have to manually focus. And for anyone who's done that, you'll know that if you're sitting down and you just lean forward even the tiniest bit, you're out of focus. That's the problem with macro lenses. So if you're shooting something up close, using something like this with that minimum focus distance of only 1 inch, you can get as close as you want and just snap, snap, snap and get great shots. So I love these lenses. So if you're looking for E-mount lenses, those four, the 18-105, the 50, the 35, and the 30 are the ones that I really recommend. Now, to that end, people have asked me about Sigma lenses. I have all the Sigma lenses. I think they have the 19, the 30, and the 60, something like that. They're really good on the optics, but just so you guys know, and I'm talking about the E-mount lenses, they focus much slower than the Sonys, and for that reason I don't use them. I still own them. They're still sitting in my showroom at my house, but I don't use them because their focus is slower on them, just so you guys know. This is the last lens that I have in my bag, in my go bag, and this is the 105 macro from Nikon. This is a beautiful macro lens. Sony's coming out with an FE, I think it's a 90mm macro. It's not out in the market yet. As soon as it is, I'll probably pick it up. And when I do, it'll probably replace this lens. But as of right now, they don't have one out there for FE. And Sony has an A-mount macro that I could use, but I already have this, so it doesn't make much sense, because if I'm going to shoot the heavier macro lens, I'm always going to do manual focus anyways. This is a great lens. I've shot with this for years and years and years, and I do love it. Now, what's sitting on the end of it? This is the photodiox adapter. This is about a $40 adapter. There's no reason for you guys to spend $400, $500, $600 on an adapter unless it gives you full functionality, like the LAEA4 adapter from Sony. The adapters from Metabones, in my experience, for Canon cameras, they shouldn't even be allowed to say that it's autofocus because they're garbage. But I love this photodiox adapter just because it's easy. It has a stepless ring, meaning I can move the aperture point on it without it clicking. So it means if you're doing any sort of video work, this is fantastic. So you adjust the aperture here, and then you adjust your shutter speed in your camera. Now, just so you know this, when you use this adapter with Nikon or Canon lenses, you have no auto functionality. There's no autofocus. There's no auto exposure, and it does not record the EXIF data. So just keep that in mind as you guys are going. So I do love this lens, and I do love this adapter because it's cheap, it's well built, and it works great. So I have 3 cameras left in my bag. One is the A6000. I'm not physically showing it to you because I loaned it to my assistant. I'm out in Florida right now filming this and shooting a wedding. My assistant is in California, and I loaned her my A6000 to shoot with. So normally that is always in my bag, but today it's not because of that reason. The other 2 cameras that I have, and I love the A6000. I love the camera. There's not a better camera on the market for the money. It's the biggest bang for your buck. In regards to other cameras, the one that you're watching me is on the RX10. That's a bridge camera. It has a 28-200 f2.8 Zeiss lens. It's amazing. Now, what do I mean by a bridge camera? It means that it, quite frankly, well, a bridge camera means it's a bridge between a point and shoot and a interchangeable lens camera. The RX10 is an awesome, awesome, awesome camera. Because of that focal length, I'm going to shoot a whole wedding with it. I think it'll turn out great. And it's a Zeiss lens, so the optics are amazing on it. It's about $1,000. And for video purposes, it's one of the best cameras in the market for the money. It has image stabilization, which really does work. And it films in the XAVCS codec, which for those folks who don't know, that is one of the highest codecs you can use for the level of cameras that we're talking about. It's better than AVC-HD and MPEG and all those others. So the RX10 is a phenomenal camera. I use it for video purposes. Obviously, you're watching me on it. This is also the RX100. I love this little camera. This has everything that I'm showing you, shoots in RAW, manual, all that other stuff. This RX100 is one of the best cameras, point and shoots on the market. It has a very large sensor for the camera size. I believe it's a 1-inch sensor, and it's just a phenomenal camera. I absolutely love this thing, and my team will do a lot of production shots with this, and we'll film some handheld video with this. This also has built-in image stabilization, and it works great. This has a what is it? I think it's like an 18-100 equivalent zoom on it. I'm not sure, but you guys can look it up. But there's 3 different versions of this, and I just have the first version. I don't need the others right now. So, and even this has a stepless aperture ring on it. So it's kind of wild what this little guy can do, and it has a Zeiss lens. So either that or this may be focused. I don't know. I don't use it. My assistants use this camera, but I do love this thing for what it produces, and when I see the results that my crew shows me, I love it. Last 2 things I'm going to show you guys are the lights that I use. Again, I have tons of lights, but these are just what go in my go bag. This is the Sony HVL-F60M flash. I love this flash, and let me tell you why. You put this on, and when all of us shoot with the flash and we shoot horizontally, the shot usually turns out pretty good. You drop the bounce card, so it drops that light down. You use this wide angle, so it actually throws the light in a wider pattern. And then you shoot, right? Well, the problem is when we go vertical, what happens? We try to angle this and do something crazy, and then the shot just doesn't turn out very good. What I love about this flash is it's the only flash in the world that does this. So it gives me the same flash pattern, the same light pattern vertically as it does horizontally. So this thing is just amazing. I think Sony owns a patent on this, which is why other flashes don't do it, to be honest with you. Good job, Sony. But I love this. The other thing I love about it, it actually has a video light right here on the front, which, believe it or not, that can be incredibly useful. And when it's dark, it gives you more than enough light. There's been times where I've needed to use this light for many, many purposes, including cake cutting, for a wedding, and so on and so forth. And if I'm within 5 feet of my subject, it gives me more than enough light to light them. So this light is phenomenal. The only downside to this light is it does have a capacitor. So if you are going pop, 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 like constantly, for wedding purposes, you're not going to hit the capacitor, I don't think. If you're shooting a model shoot and you're going boom, 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 boom constantly, then it will cool off on you, and it'll force you to stop for 3 to 5 minutes, which blows. Well, it doesn't force you to stop. It'll still shoot, but it'll only fire every 5 or 10 shots. That's one of the main reasons I love the Nikon SB910, is because that flash, they removed the capacitor because the SB900 was such a piece of garbage. Because it would sing to you and just stop working. With the 910, that's my favorite flash just for that purpose, because of the fact that it fires and fires and fires, and Nikon figures, hey, if you're stupid enough to blow it out, you blow it out. And I love that. Let me control my flash. So I hope Sony does that eventually down the line. Let me tell you one thing that I do love about this flash that the Nikon flashes don't do, is this does high-speed sync. So when it's hooked up to your camera and you can high-speed sync this puppy, you can shoot it, I think it's up to 0.008 of a second. I could be wrong. Just look it up, guys. You guys know I'm not a tech nerd. But this will fire and it'll do an amazing job for you, and you can get some high-speed sync shots that are just off the charts. So this is the flash that goes in my bag. And again, I have Photox flashes and everything else, and I still carry a Nikon flash or two, but those are in the other bags. This is in my main bag, my Go bag, and in this bag I have this guy for that reason. This is worth its weight in gold, the fact that I can do this. It really is. And when you're at a wedding and you can mitigate those shadows, this is worth every penny that you pay for it. Last thing in my bag is, of course, my trusty Rotolight. This is the Rotolight Neo. I will say, and I very firmly believe, this is the best light in the world. You can control all of the functions that you want it to do. It has a lot of bells and whistles to it. It takes six AA batteries in the back. Even when I consulted, or when Rotolight consulted with me on building this, and yes, I am the ambassador for Rotolight. If you go to jasonlanierworkshops.com/Rotolight, you can save 10% and free shipping if you buy one through me. So there you go, and there'll be a code there. But back to the product. So when they consulted with me about this, I told them make sure to give us something that we can use that's rechargeable. I don't want an LED light that I have to have a proprietary battery with. I don't want to have a LED light with the battery built in, and then I have to charge it when it dies. I want something that I can shoot for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and it never goes out on me. And when the batteries do go out, all I do is slip some new batteries in there, and I'm good to go. This allows me to adjust my light output from 0 to 100, which is fantastic. This allows me to change my color temperature, which is super cool. You can match it up to the Kelvin in your camera and get some amazing results. This also allows you to do many things. You can actually dial in how far away you are from the subject, and what ISO you're shooting at, and how many feet you are away, what your ISO is at, and it'll tell you what you should actually put your aperture at. So for newer photographers, that could be a very, very, very helpful tool. It also has a lot of cool special effects. It'll mimic fire, the light from a fire. It'll mimic a TV screen. It'll mimic lightning. It'll do a lot, police sirens. It'll do a lot of things. So if you're into video work and you want to have a little tool that will allow you to, is it all right? If you want a tool that will allow you to do some like Hollywood type effects with this, this is the light to go with. What I also love about it is the fact that it has a little D-tap here, meaning you can actually plug this in. So if you're using this for studio purposes, you can plug it right into a wall, not even have to use batteries, which I absolutely love. When it comes down to LED lights, video lights, you want one that's round for the catch light. Nothing against all the other guys who make the LED lighting out there. Each LED lighting has a purpose, from the tube lights to the square lights. So for me, this is the best all-around light. It gives you all of the functionality. I use this a lot for weddings. I'll go in, I'll use this is my primary light for weddings, and I'll have one of the I have a foam grip in the car, but I'll have a foam grip attached to it, and I'll hold it, and I can just hold this light everywhere, and I can shoot. And since I'm shooting with the Sonys, it's one-handed shooting, one-handed lighting, and it's fantastic. This is 5 times brighter than the previous Rotolight, the RL48, and it's worth its weight in gold. I think it's about $400, and you get 10% off if you buy it through the code that I have on my website. So if you guys want one, this is the light to go for. And I think for people trying to learn photography, there's no better light in the world, or no better way than through LED lighting to learn photography. You can actually see what you're going to get before you take it. You can watch where the shadows are. You can watch how the light hits. You can control the light. It's much easier to learn photography if you're doing it with LED lighting versus doing it with flash. If you're doing it, I would learn LED lighting first and then move into flash if I was to advise someone on learning photography for the first time. Lastly, you can actually buy a little porta-brace. It's like, I think they're $40, $50. This thing goes inside of the Rotolight. The Rotolight goes inside of the case, I should say, and it makes it waterproof. So if you have a weather sealed gear, this allows you to shoot. It can get splashed on. I mean, outside of you throwing it into the ocean, it's going to work fine. But just getting rained on, getting anything like that, this thing will protect it, and it's truly remarkable. So this is something that I asked Rotolight to include because they know I'm kind of nuts. So. I absolutely love this light, and I know you guys will too. Last but not least, in my bag, I have, on my top pouch, I have about 8 extra batteries. When it comes to the Sony batteries, they usually last me about 2 hours. Depends on how many I'm clicking. I usually get 400, 500 shots, somewhere in that range, maybe 300 to 400 shots out of each one. How many shots do I normally do at a wedding? I don't know, 1,200. So I go through 3 batteries. So what? Doesn't matter to me. I don't know why people make such a big deal out about the batteries. The batteries are $25, $30. Normal Nikon or Canon batteries usually 80, 90, 100 bucks. So I don't know why people make a big deal out about the batteries. The battery runs out, you replace the battery. You want to see how big the battery is? This is how big the battery is. So guess what you do? You wait for it. You put it in your pocket, and then when you run out of battery, you replace it. It's not difficult, guys. So I hope this has helped. I hope that, and then I have memory cards, and usually I'll have at least 400 or 500 gigs, at least, memory cards with me. Just with me shooting video and stills, I always want to have more than enough with the memory. So I hope this has helped. I hope it is. I know you guys have asked for this for a long time. I didn't want to do a quick one. I wanted to kind of explain the gear, why I use, what I use. So lastly, if I had to, these mosquitoes. Lastly, if I had to take one camera anywhere, it would be the A7S because of my latitude and flexibility with my low light, with the ISO. Again, 12 megapixels is going to be more than enough in 90% of the scenarios that you find yourself in. If I had to take one lens, it'd be the 16 to 35. Primarily, what do I shoot with a wedding? I shoot the 16 to 35 for a lot of bridal room stuff. I'll use the 50 millimeter for bridal room stuff, the macro lens for bridal room stuff. Ceremony will almost all be the beer can lens, the 70 to 210. I'll use the 70 to 210 with the 16 to 35 on different camera bodies. And then reception, I would use like that 28 to 75 that I showed you, that 2.8. I'd use some of the prime lenses, and I'd use that 135 1.8 in a wedding, and that'd be fantastic. I mentioned the wedding specifically because I know a lot of people ask about weddings. And then I didn't mention it, but on my A6000 that my assistant is borrowing, I have the 16 f2.8 lens. That's a Sony E-mount lens, and I love that wide angle lens. That's phenomenal for the A6000 as well. So guys, I hope this has helped. I hope that it's been beneficial. Please let me know what questions you have. Please let me know what you'd like to see in another gear review, and another what's in my bag. I really do hope this has helped. Again, if you go to thinktankphoto.com/workshop, use the promo code WS658, you'll get a Think Tank bag. They have a lifetime warranty on them, which is why I buy them, because stuff will break. Their stuff is the best built stuff out there, but stuff will break, and when they do, they just send you parts They don't even hassle you, so I love them for that. Again, the Rotolights you can get a discount on, like I already shared, and Sony I don't get any special perks. I'm an artisan of imagery, but that's just the way it floats. Hopefully one day in the future we can have a way that I can give you guys a discount for using Sony. But let's face it, they're already a third of the cost of the other cameras, so maybe there's not the margin there. So until next time, guys, keep shooting, never give up on your dreams. I hope this has been beneficial. And thank you to my assistant Claudia for helping me out today. She's been fantastic. And remember, you only have one chance to get it right. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And we have more gear videos coming, more what's in my bag videos coming, so stay tuned. Adios. Oh, I think I hear the spirits of the whorehouse. They're coming. They're coming for us, Claudia. They're coming. Bye. I'll cut that last part out.